Hello, Dallas Fort Worth. Let's talk Max Morgan.
Our dear friend loved his family, and he loved his work.
You know, he was a big-time talent who never once big-timed anybody.
He appreciated being out in the field and at the ballpark, but it wasn't just the ballpark or the football field. It wasn't sports. It was just life in general.
If I ever needed anybody, he was who I'd call. He was always there for me, and he still always will be there for me.
The pain and sadness we carry in our hearts today is because we have been fortunate enough to share this journey in this life.
Max, rest in peace, and to the family, God bless you.
You know that Max is smiling. Somebody ought to want to smile back at Max and thank God now for his life. Let's thank God for his life.
Comments from yesterday's memorial service celebrating the life of longtime Fox 4 sportscaster Max Morgan, who died Monday of congestive heart failure, just 59 years old. And tonight, we remember a man who loved talking sports with Dallas Fort Worth, loved his family, and loved you, his viewers, and loved the life he was lucky enough to lead. I'm Mike Ducey. We will tell some Max Morgan stories tonight, those that are suitable for family viewing. Max's family is in the studio tonight. His wife Marla will join me on the set in a minute. I'll also talk with two of Max's closest friends here in the Fox 4 Sports Department as we share memories of Max. I covered a high school football game in Fort Worth Friday night. Max would normally be covering that. I couldn't walk 10 feet without people telling me how sorry they were that Max had passed away. So many viewers have told me they considered Max a friend. And he had so many friends, including those in the local sports media, so many of whom were at the church yesterday. And tonight they remembered Max in the press box at AT&T Stadium.
Ladies and gentlemen, we ask that you please rise as we observe a moment of silence. This week, the sports world lost a colleague and a dear friend in Max Morgan. Max covered sports in Dallas-Fort Worth the last 20-plus years for Fox 4. He left a lasting impression on everyone he spoke with, and he will be greatly missed. In honor of Max's memory, please join us in a moment of silence.
Moment of silence in the press box before tonight's Cowboys-Saints game. Flowers at the chair where Max would normally sit. Max covered two Super Bowl winning Cowboys teams. If this were just about any other Sunday during the last 21 years, it would be Max reporting on the game. Tonight, Max's friends in the press box are thinking about him. Star-Telegram reporter Shireen Williams organized the tribute.
Well, it's our first game without Max. I think we all thought of him, and you had to do something as a tribute to Max. We all love the guy. There's not a person here who wouldn't say they loved him, and we're going to miss him, that's for sure.
He was such a humble person, and he laughed at himself, and every time you think of Max, you think about, him greeting you with his certainly his laugh and his smile and a good word, but also just the times that you kidded him, and he could take a rib and we rib each other back, and he had that hearty laugh, and he just laughed it off, like nobody, and he was very a humble person.
Max loved covering the Dallas Cowboys. As a kid growing up in Arkansas, he cheered for them. Then he watched as a fellow Razorback bought the team. Stephen Jones and Charlotte Jones-Anderson were among those at yesterday's memorial service. Another Max Morgan fan with the Cowboys was a third-string quarterback when Max arrived at our station in November of 1993. He's now the head coach, of course. And this past week, Jason Garrett shared some memories of Max.
I just think he's one of the great guys. I didn't know him well. I knew him as someone who worked in the media when I was a player and now as a coach, but always someone who always had a smile on his face, always had a kind word. He seemed to really appreciate what he was doing. He appreciated players and coaches and teams, and was always upbeat and positive, and didn't seem like he had a cynical bone in his body, and just always was fun to be around. I had great conversations with him.
And in our business, to lack cynicism is somewhat of an accomplishment, isn't it?
Yeah, and I didn't mean to suggest it like that. But
that's right. I said it too.
Yeah, but he always just had a really bright way about him, and always seemed to make the environment that he was in better. And I always enjoyed our interactions together.
He really valued covering the Dallas Cowboys because he's from Arkansas and grew up as a Cowboy fan. And I know he appreciated getting to know you back when you were a player and continuing as head coach. So just so you know that.
Yeah, well, again, you develop relationships with different people in this business. And, we're close to the other coaches and the players because that's kind of the world we live in. But there's so many other people who we interact with. And we're fortunate to be able to do it. And I consider him to be one of those guys. Just always had a great way about him, a great spirit about him. It was infectious, and we're certainly going to miss him.
After Max's death, our TV station and Max's family have gotten messages from virtually every organization, every sports organization that Max covered through the years, messages of support. And that support continued at the memorial service. I mentioned the Cowboys representation. Also, Donnie Nelson of the Mavericks was there, representatives from the Rangers as well. Max probably spent more time at the ballpark than any other single venue through the years, so it was appropriate that the Rangers honor him Tuesday night. Here's Fox 4's Brandon Todd.
All members of the Texas Rangers family have lost a great friend with the passing of Max Morgan. Our thoughts and prayers are with his family.
Just before the game, the crowd at Globe Life Park fell silent, a tribute from the Texas Rangers to Fox 4 sports anchor and reporter Max Morgan.
I just remember his enthusiasm for his work, his passion, wanting to get the story, always a very good demeanor with our players and coaches and managers and everything. Just a real pleasure to work with all these years.
Max died Monday night after suffering from complications of congestive heart failure. He was on the front lines of Dallas-Fort Worth sports for more than 2 decades. Texas Rangers reporter Emily Jones remembers Max and, like many, his signature opening line.
Hello, Dallas-Fort Worth, let's talk sports is something that we'll all remember for a very long time. The one thing about Max is he always greeted you with a smile, regardless of if we hadn't seen you in a day or a month.
To the players, Max was a friend. He asked them the hard questions when he needed to and did it with class. Former Texas Rangers second baseman and current play-by-play anchor with Fox Sports Southwest, Mark McLemore, remembered the post-game interviews with Max.
He was one of the first guys I met when I came here to play back in '95, and he's just been a fixture here at the ballpark. And, you know, he was always that guy, always had a smile on his face, always had something nice to say, wasn't looking for something, you know, negative.
To other sports journalists, he was the competition. Longtime sports anchor John Radigan recalls Max's talent.
I swear when Max got here, I was like, you know, I was across town at one of the other stations, and I was quaking. I'm like, man, this guy is good. He knows his stuff. He's smooth. He's got great delivery. As is usually the case in this market, we were rivals, but we became fast friends very quickly.
We've been very fortunate to be covered by some quality individuals over the years, and Max is certainly at the top of that list.
Fox 4's Brandon Todd reporting there on the moment of silence and a special night at the ballpark for Max. I mentioned during the week how social media has been such a unifying and uplifting source of comfort for the Fox 4 family this week. Thousands of viewers showing their support. Can't tell you how much that means to all of us. And dozens of athletes and coaches Max covered throughout the years, well, they paid their respects as well. Edward Egros has that story.
One of the things that helped us a lot through this grieving process is seeing so much support from so many people, and I thank you for that. Much support came from the teams Max covered, and those who knew Max shared their condolences on Twitter. Cowboys legends like Troy Aikman said just moments after finding out about Max's passing, said, "Always thought he was one of the good guys. Sad day for Dallas." Aikman's teammate, Emmett Smith, tweeted, "Saddened to hear about the loss of Max Morgan. Thank you for your dedication to Dallas sports. You will be sorely missed." Deion Sanders also gave a touching tribute. "Rest in peace, Max Morgan," Fox 4 News Dallas. "Praying for friends and family. Max was a good man. #truth. Deion, you are speaking the truth." Max covered Marcus Spears as a player, then became a colleague of sorts when he entered the world of television, appearing in our studios many times as an analyst. Sad news to hear that Max Morgan passed. I appreciated his professionalism. It's a sad day for Dallas sports. Prayers for his family. Max covered more than just the Cowboys. He enjoyed every assignment ever given, especially when it came to the Texas Rangers. The team sent their condolences to the family of Max Morgan. Their thoughts go out to our friends at Fox 4. Some Rangers players also sent their condolences, like Michael Choice, who grew up here and made it big. Sad to hear about the passing of Max Morgan. #Rest in peace, Max. Max was here when the Dallas Stars won their first Stanley Cup, featuring Mike Modano. He echoed the sentiments of all of us when he tweeted, "We'll all miss you, Max." In my opinion, the mark of a good person is how they treat others, and many who worked with and knew Max before he came to Texas also shared wonderful memories. Fox Sports baseball reporter Ken Rosenthal tweeted, crushed by the news of Max Morgan's passing. Worked with him at Fox affiliate in Baltimore, and so did Michael Hill, Kevin Frazier, and others. Max was so kind and friendly. Don't know that I ever saw him upset. Condolences to his friends, family, and everyone at Fox 4 in Dallas. Rosenthal mentioned Fox Sports 1's Mike Hill knew Max while in Baltimore. Hill tweeted, heart is heavy right now. Max Morgan, the man who gave me my first opportunity, an internship, has passed away. Only 59 years old. Hashtag rest in peace. I only worked with Max for a little more than a year, but as a student at SMU, I watched Max on television just like many of you did, so to become a colleague of his was surreal. He quickly ended that surrealism with his kindness, his concern for my transition to a new place, and his respect for me. Moments after he died, as I tried to make sense of it all, I scrolled through my phone and found a picture of Max along with Deuce and me. It was a sports Sunday we all worked, and I couldn't remember why I asked our floor director to take this photo, but as a close friend once told me, sometimes it's best not to make sense of moments like these. I feel just as happy I captured this special moment as I do sadness for losing a colleague and a friend. Max, thank you for everything, and I still miss you.
Fox 4's Edward Egras. Max Morgan began his broadcasting career as a radio DJ back in Arkansas, worked in radio and television in Little Rock for many years, then moved to Baltimore in the early 90s. He spent just 2.5 years there, but made such an impact. Listen to this tribute that aired Monday night on Baltimore's Fox 45 with Max's good friend Bruce Cunningham.
About 15 minutes ago, we received some terrible news. Max Morgan, who was my partner in sports when we began the News at 10 in 1991, died tonight in Dallas. He was 59 years old. You're very lucky if you make friends at work. You're luckier still if they become forever friends. Max Morgan was that to me. Max was great company, funny as anyone I've ever known, and a great colleague. This was us in 1991. You may remember he began every sportscast with a booming, "Hello, Baltimore. Let's talk sports." I love the guy. Everyone who ever knew him loved him too. And about the only comfort we can find tonight is in the knowing that there were so many others who loved him as well. Max Morgan, my friend, my brother, dead tonight at 59.
Bruce Cunningham in Baltimore at one of Max's former stations. Executive producer from Fox 4 Sports, Kevin Morrell, here with me tonight. And Kevin, you were here in '93 and helped bring Max in. What kind of sold you on Max Morgan coming here from Baltimore?
Basically, his energy. He liked local sports, and the news director was obsessed with his "Let's Talk Sports, Baltimore."
Okay, so he's saying, "Hello, Baltimore, let's talk sports." But he comes here, Max does, and thinks he needs to change his style a little bit.
Yeah. After being here about 2 weeks, he thought Dallas is kind of too big for me. This probably won't work here, so he stopped for 2 days. And one day the news director, who was kind of a yeller at the time, came running in the sports department looking for Max, and he was telling us, "You have got to start saying that again. That's the reason we hired you." So the show that night, Max picked it back up, and he's continued ever since.
Kind of a yeller is an understatement. Mike Sechrist, our news director at the time, is responsible for making sure that "Hello, Dallas, Fort Worth" became the legendary phrase that it has become. I know you were going through some video for Football Sunday of the last time the Cowboys and Saints played, and you came across a special moment,
yeah,
right?
You know what? It's kind of funny. I was looking at the game 2 years ago, just going through tape, and up comes this fan in the crowd with a sign that said, "Mad Max Morgan rocks," and I think it just shows you what we've heard all week, how Max connected just with the average fan, the average person and stuff, and here's some Cowboy fan makes a sign, takes the time to make a sign about Mad Max Morgan rocks. I mean, that says it all. And it's funny because Dirk would always say too, "Mad Max, where's Mad Max?"
The signs continued at that high school game I referenced earlier too, paying tribute to Max Morgan. Executive producer of Fox 4 Sports, Kevin Morrell. Thanks for the memories. Well, one of our sports department's lasting memories of Max, and one of our fondest memories has to do with a drastic change in Max's look. The year was 2006. Terry Bradshaw started giving Max a hard time about his hairpiece. Max wore a hairpiece. I didn't know it either until late in the game, but he did. Max took the ribbing in stride and handled the whole situation as only Max could, and it turned into a New Year's Eve moment we will never forget.
All I know is, Max, I don't know who gives you the hair pieces, but that might be the best hair piece I've seen. Mike Ducey, you might not want to skip out ever doing this show again by staying home, because my man is looking good. Max, you take your toupee off. Halloween, you know.
Oh. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Max Morgan.
Oh,
That was cold, man.
Oh, Max, that's a man that doesn't have any hair. You have to shave that spot up there. God bless you. My brother. Oh, that's a good. That looks good. I want one just like it.
I'm going to tell you what. You said call your people. I won't get
A little birdie tells me that you have a drastic resolution to make, and you're going to carry it out right here tonight.
Exactly right, and I want everybody to stay tuned, and let's see what happens. It should be fun, I think, or funny.
You heard Terry Bradshaw. He gave Max a hard time about the hairpiece. Max Morgan made a resolution, and he's already taken care of it. Ladies and gentlemen, the new Max Morgan.
All right, I'll tell you what. Hey, where's Terry Bradshaw right now? You see what happened, Terry? This is what happens. I hope you sleep well tonight on New Year's Eve. They tell me women they love a man with a bald head. You see what? Thank you, Terry. Thank you very much. Deuce, get it back to you.
The new Max Morgan, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great look.
Oh, it was a great look for Max. Fox 4 photojournalist Larry Rodriguez with us now, Max's closest friend here at the station. And that said it all about Max, didn't it? The way he could just connect with people in any situation.
Oh, and that's absolutely right. I think the relationships I developed were based a lot on Max, the way he just got along with people. And, you and I connected with Johnny Oates, and because Max and Johnny go back to Baltimore, as you're well aware, you and I were able to make that connection and travel up to Virginia and do a nice little story with him. But Coach Mayo came on out, which was just a wonderful person, and I think that was the thing that Max took away from a lot of people. It's just that, or I took from Max, was that he was just able to connect with people.
Didn't like the cold weather, though. I get a kick out of the fact we continually show that shot. Well, look at this shot of you, too. What are you doing? Never mind. Don't tell me.
I was cold. It's a dome. It was a dome.
You needed some warmth there. There you are with Chris Hanks, who spoke at the memorial yesterday as well. You guys were great up there, told some great stories. Hanks told about the Jewish wedding, that reception that Max managed to talk his way into.
We always seem to find ourselves in weird situations out in the field or when we're out on assignment. But it didn't matter how bad the assignment was, Max always made it a lot of fun.
You were with Max in Arkansas when a very famous person noticed that hey, there's Max Morgan, there's a celebrity.
Well, I do remember this. I spoke with Barry earlier this week, and I just couldn't remember why it was we were there. But I do remember it's just like, well, Bill Clinton's going to be coming by, and I don't know if he's going to remember who I am. And I thought, well, whatever, dude, let's just go ahead and hang out and see what happens. And sure enough, the car pulls out, we're behind a ribbon, and Max says, Bill, Bill, Bill. And sure enough, he turns around, comes around, puts his arm on Max. I'm like, this is amazing. I don't know if he was a president or governor at the time, but it didn't matter because I was impressed.
Yeah. Everybody who knew Max or watched him loved him, and that's further evidence of that.
Absolutely.
Fox 4's Larry Rodriguez. Thanks for sharing a few memories with us, my friend. We continue here tonight. Max's family is in full force in studio with us. We will talk with his amazing wife, Marla, as we continue to remember Max Morgan on Sports Sunday. Continuing to remember Max Morgan now, honored to have his wife Marla in studio with us here tonight. They met in 1997. Did Max have any idea how many people loved him? I mean, we're seeing it now more than ever. How would he have felt about this response?
He would have been overwhelmed. I don't think he realized how many people really loved him. We've just had such an outpouring of love and support this week. And our family, Byron and Sean and I, and the whole family just really appreciate all the support and love that we've been shown.
You know, we've described Max throughout the week, but you knew him better than anybody. What kind of guy was he, and what made him so special?
He was a very caring guy. You know, he just cared about people. He wanted people to do well in life. He loved covering the high school football games and seeing the young guys and talking to them, and he just really genuinely cared.
You know, his legacy, I think, is just amazing because of the way that he did connect with viewers and the fact that whenever you say his name, you can't help but smile.
That's right.
And there's going to be another legacy left because of the scholarship foundation that's been
right.
established. Can you tell us about that a little bit?
We've established the Max Morgan Let's Talk Sports Scholarship Fund so that kids graduating from high school can go on and have a career in journalism. And we'd like to be able to help them out and provide scholarships for students that would like to be in the media and study journalism.
You can send your donations to 200 Crescent Court, Suite 400, Dallas, Texas 75201. Could you have brought a few more members of your family in here tonight? The studio is packed, and I think we're going to see these folks here. They're being so quiet, though.
I know they are.
Very well behaved. I know Max obviously loved you so much and loved his family, and we love you too.
Thank you so much.
And you know that everybody in North Texas is with you and thinking about you and praying for you at this time.
Thank you. We really appreciate it.
All right, Marla. Thanks for coming in. We're back as we continue to remember Max Morgan on Sports Sunday. In a moment. We're back with Max's family and friends. We've had quite a week in this building as we've said goodbye to Max. Also suffered the loss of longtime photojournalist Mark Kaminer. We continue to keep them in our hearts and in our prayers, and we want their families to know just how many people are hurting with them and supporting them. As I mentioned during the week, Max Morgan loved his job. He loved his family. I don't think he ever took any of it for granted. He respected his viewers, never talked down to them, never told them what to think. They loved him for that. And that Max Morgan attitude, that Max Morgan smile, is really going to be missed in our sports department. And so will the friendship of Max Morgan. For all of us at this television station, thanks for all you've done to help us through. To this family, God bless you. I'm Mike Ducey. Good night.